In this video, I want to show you how to set up a 10 module performance. And the way you do that is you actually decouple the keyboard from the software. And then you get 6 modules in the software plus the 4 that are already in the keyboard. Usually when you turn on Karma, it turns local control off in the keyboard. So you're actually only sending MIDI data to the software, which is then usually echoed back to the keyboard by keyboard through. So disable keyboard through in this case, because I don't want it sending MIDI data that it's getting to the keyboard. And then in your preferences, make sure that you uncheck this local control off, or automatic local control. What this does is it usually turns off local control on the keyboard. So then the keyboard isn't sending MIDI to itself. It's only sending MIDI out, but we actually want it to send MIDI to itself in this case. So uncheck this, save your preferences. Oh, and then also while I'm there, might as well go over in the real-time controls. I have it receiving real-time controls from that internal MIDI bus because I want to send MIDI data from Cubase in to the software separate from the hardware. And then the last thing to make sure is that in the performance editor, in the Korg tab, make sure you uncheck this because this will disable MIDI input into the Karma modules in the keyboard. And this is per performance or per patch. So if I were to like change preset or to choose like this one, you can see it's clicked back on, but just, whenever you are messing with a new preset, make sure you disable this. Unfortunately, there's no way for me to like just automatically copy and paste these settings to every performance like you can do with like the MIDI ins and outs, but that's fine. And then in the MIDI ins and outs, now that we can send MIDI data to now that we have Karma running in the keyboard as well as in the software, I want these modules to not be mirroring the modules in the keyboard. So usually modules A, B, C, and D are going to channels 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I just start this one at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And it's kind of nice because then module 5 just automatically lands on 10, which is usually, your drum MIDI channel. Like whenever you're copying a performance into a combi, it'll automatically put the drum track on MIDI channel 10. And then this way, I just get to choose like a drum GE and then start sequencing the drums right on that MIDI channel. Let's see, what else? Of course, I want my dynamic MIDI coming from the Kronos keyboard. That just allows me to do things like, send like clock advance messages from the keyboard to the software, and like a million other things that I'm not going to go into right now. Let's see. Since we are not getting, since we're only getting MIDI data now, since the software from mostly from the DAW from Cubase, I get to control my scenes separately from the scenes on the keyboard, and that's beneficial because you have 32 scenes in the software, whereas you only have 8 in the keyboard. And I like that you get to control the scenes separately in the keyboard because then you could like jam on the scenes live while having the rest of the composition just behave normally the way it's supposed to. Instead of like switching scenes on the keyboard rapidly and then having like the drums change with every scene. It'll make it so you can like, mess with, like, let's say you have like different riffs on the scenes. You can then jam on the scenes that way without affecting, drums or rhythmic tracks or anything like that. Let's see, what else do I need to go over? In Cubase, I have two MIDI tracks now. One is going to the internal MIDI bus, which is feeding the software. Now the other one is going to the Khronos itself. I will always echo the same chords, but you could send different chords to the Khronos keyboard and to the Khronos software if you felt like it, but I don't know. That's too fancy for me. Let's see, what else do I need to go over? I know there's some stuff I'm forgetting. Yeah, in Cubase, I changed something in my project synchronization setup. I'm now no longer sending a start message to the Khronos or the Khronos software, Karma software, because I don't really know what the start message is, and I don't want to send unnecessary MIDI data to either. And then I now don't send the MIDI clock in stop mode because when I'm composing, I'll always be looping a section anyway. And I've also run into a glitch before where when I'm looping something and then I stop it, like Karma might keep going and it just becomes really frustrated. But by not sending a clock in stop mode, Karma actually can't run. Even if it's in latch mode, it can't run. Because remember, if it's not receiving a MIDI clock, it can't do anything. I think I've pretty much covered everything. Oh, you know what? One final thing that's very, very important. I now don't have my KDF file containing PCG data, since I'll always be running the since I'll always be running the Karma software in tandem with the hardware from now on. Maybe you want to keep it on, maybe you don't, but I won't be mirroring the two. I won't be like doing a merge and then a dump and like making sure that they're all synced up. This will always just be acting independently of the keyboard. Of course, when I choose patches, it'll still change like the patch in the keyboard, and like the save data slots will still be lined up, but what the save data contains will be separate. So like when I'm starting from scratch, the software will be the software, and then the hardware will be the hardware. And that's really how you get the most out of both, by doing it like that. And besides, like, by keeping them mirrored, you're just limiting yourself, because then, you know, you're basically only using 4 modules and 8 scenes if they're always mirrored. But by unmirroring them, by making sure that you're not like doing data dumps between the two, it makes the save process way simpler, and you get like the benefit of using 6 modules and 32 scenes in the software. So yeah, to save, now all I do is hit store, and then I hit Control S to save the KDF file. So yeah, that's it for this video. Maybe I missed something, maybe I didn't, but undoubtedly I'll be going over a lot of the same stuff in the future when I'm talking about like making compositions with Karma. And yeah, if you have any questions, definitely ask, and I'll do the best I can to answer them. So thank you for watching this. Bye-bye.